feels good to be back. uSports Central on a Monday. That is Charles Aston III. I'm Adam Deal. And now we're going from high school hoops to UNM Lobos on 3 and Out here to the NFL. Yes, it was a huge weekend, obviously, in the wild card. 4 big games, Charles. And let's go over. I'm going to start with the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy going on right now. The Cowboys come from behind and beat Detroit. You know I was a happy guy. It's a 24-20 win as Tony Romo does not lay an egg, plays really good in the playoffs. He was under duress a lot of the game. Let's go to that pass interference call, which a lot of people are jumping all over. You look at it, the officials have actually come out and said that no, that's the right call, that it was not pass interference. I agree. I don't think it was pass interference. I think Detroit Lions fans are complaining a lot on this morning. But it kind of takes away from a good win and a good comeback from the Cowboys, as everyone wants answers. And the Cowboys are that team. Either you love them or you hate them. If you hate them, you're rooting against them. A lot of people were rooting against them last night.
Well, yeah, because Cowboy fans, the self-anointed America's team or whatnot. But I'm in the type of crowd that says, you had to lead Detroit. You're up 14-0. Matter of fact, you're up 14-0 with the ball driving to score again. Now you lay an egg in the second half. You only scored 3 second-half points. You're up 17-7. You had every opportunity to win this game, and now you want to blame one call on why you lose the game. Look at yourself in the mirror. You say, Matthew Stafford, you're going in a trash can at the end of this week because you should have put up more points. You should have put up more points.
Oh, the trash can.
You had the momentum going. Your defense is playing lights out. And you just sit there and let Dallas come back.
There's a lot of conspiracy theorists that, everyone wants, the NFL wants the Cowboys to win. I mean, they let Ndamukong Suh, which would have been a huge topic here on the show if we had it, they let him back. They changed their mind on an appeal one day later and said, no, it's a $70,000 fine, and they let him play in that game. So that's kind of an argument back at that is, look, Suh played in the game and maybe he shouldn't have played in. There's a lot of calls that could have gone either way. I think a lot of fans out there, or people that are rooting against the Cowboys, kind of missing the bigger picture. It was a huge win for Dallas. Tony Romo adds to what is a great season, and now it'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys can go into Green Bay and do the same thing. That'll be a topic that we save for a little bit later this week.
Yeah, to me, fantastic game. You can cry about the call.
It was the best game of the
It was the best
weekend,
game of the playoffs. It was one call, so get over Detroit.
Yeah.
You're Detroit. You don't win playoff games anyway. It's 20
Were you
years.
expecting Tony Romo to that last drive, 4th and 6 or 3rd and goal, to make the big mistake? Wasn't everybody?
Everyone in America was waiting for the Romo to come out, and he didn't.
He made the right decision.
He persevered, drove his team down the field, albeit a short field because of the shank punt, and scored. Made a fantastic throw to win the game.
Detroit did everything to lose at the end of the day.
Detroit did everything to lose. Detroit, be mad at yourselves.
So the other game's not as promising. I want to talk about Baltimore going into Pittsburgh and beat up Pittsburgh Steelers. I say that because obviously maybe the most dynamic player in the NFL, Le'Veon Bell. He can do it out of the backfield running, but he's great at catching too. He's got the most total yards from scrimmage in the NFL, missing from this game. Obviously a big piece to why Baltimore can go in and get the upset. But this is kind of the Ravens of 2 years ago that made that run through the playoffs. Kind of reminds you that Flacco had a huge monster game. Impressive win at their rivals at Pittsburgh. They really handled it.
Yeah, you mentioned you don't have a Le'Veon Bell, an every down back. He can do everything. It limits what you can do in the play calling. If you notice, they were running a read run game because they brought in Ben Tate, and he's used to running a read run game. So it takes away from your play calling. Coach Haley is
I don't know if that was the right decision to bring Tate in and
just go with what you have.
Yeah, I think you just got to go with your backups.
But big win for him. That's a big win.
Let me ask you a question. Does this come back? I know cutting LeGarrette Blount maybe seemed right at the time, but now you look at it, hindsight's always 20/20, right? But you look at it, and now LeGarrette Blount's playing with the Patriots, who are still in it, and they're using his ground game. They could have used LeGarrette Blount against Baltimore, which would have been a completely different game.
No, okay, yeah, you look at hindsight is 20/20, but they set a precedent. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the top organizations in NFL when it comes to discipline of players, how they run their ship. So they had to make the move. Now you look at it as, wow, the bell goes down. If we have Blount, we don't change our game up at all. We do the same thing that got us here, and we probably win that game. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Another team that can be really sad also, the Cardinals. Cardinals lose 2 quarterbacks, 3 matter of fact. They have to go to a four-string quarterback and play Lindley, who wasn't even on a practice squad for this team going into the season. and hope that they can beat the Panthers. The Panthers rallying from a terrible season.
I feel terrible, Charles, for the Cardinals and their fans.
Yes.
And mostly for the Cardinals defense, because they're the ones who really built this season, get into the playoffs. They probably should have had a bye in the first overall seed if Carson Palmer was healthy. Now, we can go back and say ifs, but you can't win with a four-string quarterback, not in the playoffs. And the Panthers at 8-1 now, are going to go to Seattle, and I'm not going to say they're going to go beat Seattle, but I feel like they have a lot of momentum. They're playing different football right now. As the last wild card game, nothing to really look at. The cold skip by the Bengals, and Andy Dalton continues to look flat, though he did not trash can. Look, he didn't have his pieces. He didn't have A.J. Green. He didn't have Gresham. He didn't have his guys. Tough to go win in a place that you already got blown out at.
No one else is making excuses. It's playoff time. You come around. Those are major pieces, but Cincinnati didn't do a lot to try to win the game. They wouldn't throw the ball down the field. They played conservative. They pretty much let the coach dictate.
Where does change have to happen here?
Game.
Because Cincinnati Bengals, though, a lot of teams would love to be in their position. 4 years in a row have made the playoffs, but 4 years in a row they've gone one and done, and Andy Dalton has not looked good.
Stick to what you're doing. There's not that many quarterbacks out there, and people talking about get rid of Andy Dalton. There's who you want over there, Cutler.
It could be better. Let's move on here, because I really want to talk about college football. I know you do. The college football playoffs for the very first time. And I'll tell you what, Charles, January 1st, this is one of the most memorable January 1st I'll ever have. New Year's Day, having fun with the family and being able to enjoy these games. And not only the two playoff games, but the Cotton Bowl and the Outback Bowl before that, and the great finishes. And the SEC just took a big dive, didn't they?
Nosedive.
How about Oregon absolutely running through Florida State? They made it look easy. No problem. And then, of course, Ohio State, with what a lot of people would look at was a big upset against Alabama. I didn't see that one coming. I thought Oregon would win, but I did not see Ohio State over Alabama.
I had it going either way with Oregon, Florida State. I didn't know it was going to be a blowout. But the Bama game, I definitely didn't have Ohio State winning that game. What I do love about the playoff system, you're right. January 1st, you're at home with family, you're relaxing. But there's two games that have a true meaning. Think about watching the game. You knew that the following week, these guys were going to play for the big prize. So all the teams played lights out. Well, Florida State's offense was terrible. The defense couldn't stop them. But Bama played well. Ohio State played well. And Oregon, Mariota is the real deal. My man was unstoppable. Jameis Winston right there, which is probably the funniest fumble that I've seen in a long time.
Except for the butt fumble with Mark Sanchez. That's probably number 2.
It's up there. It's going to be up there.
No doubt about it.
I didn't see the blowout. 52 points.
I thought Oregon would win. I don't know if I could say that they were going to win by almost 40 points. I think obviously they're a 7-point favorite according to Vegas going into this national championship. We'll break that down as we get closer to it, which is 1 week from today on the 12th, of course, ESPN. Listen.
What do you think about Ohio State, though?
I was just going to get to that. I think Ohio State and Coach Urban Meyer, maybe the best coach. I think he just out-coached Nick Saban. 8-8 now in bowl games that matter. Nick Saban, as to where Urban Meyer's 8-2. So he might have got out-coached, out-dueled. This is from a backup quarterback. This is a third-string quarterback Ohio State has done this with. Looked pretty sharp.
Yeah, Bama came out, phenomenal start. The line was getting a good push, really putting pressure on them. And Ohio State got through all of that and won that game. Great bowl games.
Come on back. We're going to release the top 10 poll according to Max Prep's rankings in high school hoops. That's all right here on uSports Central.